Good evening, one and all. My name is Anjali Nambiar from BBA SEM 3, and my registration number is MYBUU3BBA19049. So, my topic for the book I'm writing is Demystifying Bhagavad Gita in terms of modern psychology. So, my main motive of this book is to draw a comparison between how Lord Krishna giving advice to Arjuna is equivalent to modern psychotherapy or psychological therapy, as we say in modern times. So, first, let's try to understand what psychotherapy is. So, it is defined as the treatment of mental or emotional disorder or of related bodily illness by psychological means, if we actually go by the dictionary, that is. So, in simpler words, psychotherapy is a talk therapy, like where you are talking to a doctor or experienced person, where it is a way to help those people with different types of mental illnesses and emotional difficulties they have in their own daily lives. So, when we're talking about Bhagavad Gita, how can it be compared with like psychotherapy and Bhagavad Gita? So we see that in Gita there is symbolic representation of a human conflict in the mind. That is, when Arjuna is on the battlefield, he is anxious, he is doubtful, right? So that is, in modern terms, if you say, a sense of mind blockage, or he is not able to perform well on the battlefield. So it's various approaches of solution, like the solutions are given by Lord Krishna. So if we compare it with in modern psychology, we can see that a doctor, a psychologist, does the same thing with a patient who has some mental problems or problems that evolve due to too much of work of the mind, right? So therefore, in this book, like I will start on how psychology classifies human behavior, and like what those categories are and how they are categorized, on what basis. So for example, in psychology there are three main categories, that is cognitive, affective and cognitive. So how are they categorized, what do these mean, and how are these related to how Bhagavad Gita categorizes human behavior? So Bhagavad Gita categorizes human behavior in, again, three ways, that is the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic gunas or attitudes, right? So, but if you look into psychology, these three forms of human behavior, types of human behavior, are again divided into three more, or actually four more, that is optimistic, pessimistic, trusting and envious. So optimistic, as of course everybody else knows, thinking in a positive way, right? And then pessimistic, thinking in negative way of the situations at hand. Trusting, some people are very trusting, they trust people very easily, and that somehow hampers their ability to make decisions against that person or for that person, or in regards to that person they are interacting with at that moment. And the next is envious. Envious is, again, jealousy, the moment where one person is very insecure about oneself because of the standards that are put up by the society or by another person of the same family. That is being envious. So psychology has categorized human behavior into so many different parts, so it becomes very difficult to understand how Bhagavad Gita managed to just talk about human behavior in three different ways, right? Or three gunas, like categorized human behavior in three gunas, that's it. So when we say that Bhagavad Gita has categorized human behavior in three different ways, in three gunas, we say that it doesn't mean that everybody has only one of these gunas, right? Like if we say in psychology, if a person is optimistic, if a person is pessimistic, trusting, or envious, we say you're an optimistic person. That's it. That's the end of the conversation there. But in Gita, they say that human behavior is comprised of all these three uh, categories of behavior. Sattvic, as we all know, is the pure form where nothing matters, right? And tamasic is a lazy one, so you don't really want to do any work, and you don't feel like doing anything, and you that's like saying that you're in a state of inertia, right? And rajasic is where you are active, very active, or in modern terms when we say a kid is hyperactive, so that comes under rajasic, right? So Bhagavad Gita says that each and every person, each and every soul a person has a mixture of these three gunas, and it can be in any quantity, right? A person may be more sattvic, a person may be more tamasic, that is a lazy person, right? He doesn't want to do work properly. Then there's the rajasic person. That person is so active, he doesn't settle down for rest or anything like that. Then also Bhagavad Gita also says that these three gunas, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic gunas, or like attitudes of or behavior, human behavior, are of the soul, and every soulful being, every creature that has a soul has all of these gunas in different variations. So suppose one person is sattvic, one person is tamasic, one person is rajasic, but they will have the other two qualities also. So, and it also says that these three gunas are very much affected by the prakriti, the environment, the nature the person, this creature is around, right? Like in a broader sense, if we say that prakriti is the universe which has all the matter and energy. So anything that has energy affects that behavior. So if I put it in a proper sentence, it is like, in a broader sense, prakriti also includes the entire matter or energy of the universe. So the prakriti matters in human behavior when we are talking about human behavior through Bhagavad Gita. What Bhagavad Gita talks about in sense of how a human, a creature with a soul behaves, right? And then moving on to the book, I will continue to say how Bhagavad Gita and psychology are interconnected. Because if you see, there are so many aspects of psychology that you can connect with Bhagavad Gita. There are so many aspects of Bhagavad Gita that are not there in psychology, but maybe they should be, they should not be. Like, we'll leave it to the researchers and the experts for now. So coming back to how I will look into Bhagavad Gita and psychology being interconnected, right? Because when I say that Bhagavad Gita and psychology are interconnected, I also mean that psychology may be in certain ways is the modern way of helping people out. Like Gita is a way of helping people out in their day-to-day lives, right? Because if you look at it, the modern times, nobody really wants to read ancient texts for the betterment of their personality. Even if that person's personality becomes better, that person will not read Bhagavad Gita, because in their minds it's like Bhagavad Gita is so outdated, they don't want to read it. So if we incorporate the same values of Bhagavad Gita in psychology, and if it is like that, right, if suppose all the things that are in psychology is actually mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, then we can in a way say that we should inculcate a way where we mention both. when we say psychology, everybody is thinking about modern science and everything. When we say Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, everybody is like ancient texts, it doesn't matter nowadays that much. But these ancient texts also help us in so many ways that people don't realize. Help us in ways to become better people, right? But nobody is actually reading it nowadays. So, coming back to the book, I will go on to say how, psychology is helping people out to find their personality, to see who they are, and, be true to themselves and go on the right path they are meant to go on, like for their destiny. I won't, you know, debate on the fact that destiny is written or not written, but I will say one thing, that based on your attitude right now, based on your behavior right now, your actions will definitely have karma, right? Everybody believes that there will be karma for every action you do. So why not believe on the fact that the things written in Bhagavad Gita are true too? So coming back, I will conclude in the book by saying that Bhagavad Gita, even in modern times, is being used in very special references in psychotherapeutic techniques. It's used in psychotherapy. To teach psychotherapy, Bhagavad Gita is used. It is in their syllabus. So why is Bhagavad Gita not taught in schools? Like, if psychology can be taught, why not Bhagavad Gita? Because psychology is using Bhagavad Gita to teach the ways of human behavior, right? So why not Bhagavad Gita? And then also, to conclude, like, we can say that, these ancient texts, these ancient concepts, ancient Indian concepts that researchers and experts are using in psychology, they are using it for application in clinical purposes. Like, actually psychologists, who are working in hospitals or have their own clinics, are studying about human behavior through Bhagavad Gita. So why can't we do it, right? And like, Bhagavad Gita has been used to interpret these ancient concepts, in modern context, how it can be applied in clinical sense and how it can be applied in the psychological setup, right? So to conclude, I would like to say that it's not that we cannot say that Bhagavad Gita is completely not related to modern, is not useful in modern times, because it is. Like, if psychologists and if the psychological experts are using it to treat humans, then why wouldn't it be useful in modern sense at all? You have to just look at those ancient texts, the Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything from a modern perspective, right? To see that yes, it is, like, it is, it is applicable. It is applicable in modern times, right? So we should always try to see how it is applicable in modern times, because we cannot at any cost. And looking at the things going on in this world at this moment, this lockdown and everything that is going on, we really need to, look back on how our ancestors, coped up with problems like these. Like, I'm not saying that this thing happened in the past and so we should, do what our ancestors did. No, we just need to find a way to say that, okay, they did it in that way. In what common way can we do it here? Like, it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, right? But what we can take, what lesson we can learn from those people, from our ancestors, that we so proudly say. Like, as an Indian, you are always saying that you are proud of your culture, you're proud of your nation and everything, then why don't you want to read your ancient texts? Why don't you want to connect it to your modern syllabus that you have? It becomes very, very important in our education system, especially nowadays, that we inculcate these things. If psychologists and, like, the psychology experts are ready to inculcate Bhagavad Gita to teach students about psychotherapy, then why not? Why is it inculcated in our education system from the beginning? Because it teaches us very, very important lessons that we need to learn in our life. If not, if you look at the modern generation, everybody is after those modern terms and everything. But if you look back in the past, we had everything, right? We had every kind of, uh, what do you say, solution to every problem. But we are not looking back at our past, because everybody says that the past teaches us lessons. So why are we not learning from our past, right? We are not. So my main motive of the book is to make people understand that if psychology has inculcated Bhagavad Gita, we can too in our day-to-day uh, education, in our, like, it should be taught. That's the main point, right? Also, to conclude, I would like to say that through this book, I really, really want people to understand that these ancient texts that people talk about are useful. Do talk about how it can be used in the modern sense. You just have to look at it from that perspective, right? You have to look at it from a modern context, but we don't. So I hope that from this book, I'll be able to um, help people realize that it is really necessary to inculcate, ancient texts that we're talking about. These are not really ancient if you can apply them in your modern world. So that is all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.